When you hold the title for the most expensive film ever made, you can expect something good to chew on for both movie lovers and for non-movie lovers, for both Marvel fanatics and, well, only Marvel fanatics. There is sadly little room for Marvel beginners to understand this movie except for purely visual delight, because the movie relies on information from all 19 installments of the MCU. However, I still recommend anyone to watch this film, as it would delight your visual taste to an astronomical level. Since the focus of the film is the villain Thanos, who's made appearances throughout a number of MCU films on his quest to collect the powerful Infinity Stones, it makes sense that familiarity of the movies would be helpful. And so, here's the pivotal question that is answered throughout this movie. How far would you go to bring peace to the universe? It's a question many people have faced, both in real life and in fiction, none of which have come as close as Thanos to reaching their goal. This movie is the beginning of the ending of this series of the MCU. The movie that millions of superhero lovers have been waiting for. The battle to end all battles. The war to end all wars. This is when things begin getting serious. Jokes aside, which Infinity War does manage to crack many of. Thanos has already had the Infinity Gauntlet for a good amount of time. Each Infinity Stone was creatively placed by the directors of the MCU in different corners of the movies. From Thor, to Iron Man, to Guardians of the Galaxy, and more. And so, this film is the one where all of those crossroads intersect and the presence of the Infinity Stones begins to get stronger. Thanos has been lurking in the MCUs for a long time, being the mind behind Loki's attack on New York City, as well as Ronan's assault on the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Thanos had given up on underlings to retrieve the Infinity Stones, and so the Titan himself decided to get his hands dirty. He sends his minions to Earth to retrieve 2 of the stones, while he goes after the others himself. Infinity War doesn't introduce a lot of new characters, considering that they have to fit over 75 faces into a nearly 3-hour time slot. However, that doesn't mean they're lacking any bit in character development. The children of Thanos are interesting, but they don't impact the plot as much as it would seem. Infinity War has one of the largest casts in the history of movies, containing numerous characters from the Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, Spider-Man, and the Avengers movies. It is no surprise that many of these characters do not get a lot of screen time, or many lines for that matter, but each character is done its due justice in this film. The fact that Infinity War actually feels like a well-balanced movie is extremely praiseworthy. For the most part, this movie was a delight, except that it was countless fighting after the next. It almost seemed like the directors had a puzzle piece and said, "Oh, I'll throw it in here. Didn't know. Over there. Oh wait, I'll take that back. No, I actually want to keep it. Never mind." There is just simply too much random fighting, and not quite enough comprehensible encounters. There are a few spectacular fights, but the others are just thrown in there like salt and pepper. What's the use? There are very few scenes where there is no fighting whatsoever, and after all, the movie is about the most powerful creature in the universe. But I felt that there was more than just raw fighting to highlight in this film. The exposition portion of this movie turned out to be a little cheap. Mark Ruffalo, Hulk, was overused as an exposition character. Thanos has the largest army in the universe. Well, thanks for that. That really helps. But don't they already know that? There also seemed to be some dominant issues between the split personalities of Bruce Banner and the Hulk himself, which I think will be talked about in the second part of Infinity War. This movie was also extremely funny. I truly believe that this film contained a proper amount of required humor. The actors also have great on-screen chemistry with each other. Iron Man, Star-Lord, and Doctor Strange have the funniest scenes together. They each represent the same kind of character from different areas of the MCU. This movie might be the one Marvel movie that actually gives the villain his proper spotlight, and we are given a good deal of information about the villain as well. I sort of wanted to see Thanos as a child, but I knew that wasn't coming. But the movie does a decent job fleshing out his backstory and motivations. Although I'd like to say for comic book lovers that this will be a disappointment. Nearly nothing goes as per comics. Josh Brolin plays Thanos with a beautiful balance of character, both an emotional and a menacing person. He is without a doubt the star of this film and manages to deliver an amazing job in his work. The visuals on his facial features and skin movements are also miraculous, as always in Marvel films. Lastly, the most iconic thing about the MCU, their end credit scenes, which always connect with the upcoming installments of the franchise. This scene in Infinity War hints at a Miss Marvel cameo in the second part of the series, and knowing Marvel, it could go in a number of directions. At last, Infinity War reminds us why and how everyone deep inside has the same nature. How everyone at heart is the same. A concept evaluated even in Black Panther, the previous installment. Over the course of the past 19 films, the MCU has turned out to be a roller coaster ride. And this movie will definitely not fail to reach your expectations.